Oh, I'm talking with Lee Marvin. We were going to examine the most... I mean, the thought of discussing your romantic life didn't keep you awake? That's amazing. You gave a very candid... I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to answer there. It's good. You gave a very candid interview one time in Playboy magazine when you talked a great deal about yourself. I wonder, when you look back at a thing like that some years later, have your ideas changed? Are you ever sorry you said any of those things?
Oh, well, I think that you're sorry you say everything almost.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure that, given a second time through or something, I could probably do it better. Because we'd learned by our experience, but I'm not going to waste time worrying about that either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I said it and I'm glad. I say, is it true that you said it? I say, yeah. They say, how do you feel about that now? I said, well, we have to pursue it. And I said it then. I don't have to say it again.
So you don't like to repeat yourself? Do
I
you find
prefer not to.
interviewing generally kind of irritating, the fact that you do what you do up on the screen and to have to sit and talk for hours on end about yourself for a long interview is irritating?
No, it depends on the interviewer. I think that, I probably talk more about myself when I'm not being interviewed. But in order to maintain that semblance of the true modesty that I do on the screen, when I get interviewed, I become very modest. Oh, is that for, So
That's right. I never thought of that, but you do. When you're interviewed, you think, can't they please get off the subject of me? But then when other subjects are being talked about, one works the subject around to oneself.
Yeah.
I don't do that, but a lot of people do, I know. I'm glad to hear that you do it,
It's been my experience. That's been my experience working with other stars,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You talked in that article about being in the Marines, and you talked about a search for your masculinity. That was a phrase that came up in the article. I would think your masculinity would be quite easy to find from knowing you as I do.
We weren't going to talk about my private life now.
I won't be responsible for the kind of laughter I'm getting from the audience, but and I never am. But what is that about?
Oh, I don't know. I think that all kids go through it. And I was a child when I enlisted, And, my only history really was the motion pictures or what I'd seen as a kid in New York. So I'm going to go up to the, with the sword or whatever it was that, all the famous actors used to wear in those Triple E pictures. The harems of women, and I hope, and, it's just, that's a very silly thing to even think about right now, I guess. Masculinity is what it is.
Yeah. Did you find that in the Marines there were a lot of guys who had gone in because they had some kind of hang-up like that? That's a favorite image of
No, this was during the war, and there was a very common effort, see, so the effort was the only thing then. I'm not aware of anything else but that at that time. Now, in peacetime or something, I imagine it's a wholly different discussion. But when we were going down on the train from New York, everybody was just, wanted to be John Wayne, which was exactly what it was all about then.
Yeah. What did they think of John Wayne movies, the guys who were actually in action the way you were in the Marines during the war? What was your opinion of the war movies that you saw? Like
well,
Sands
most of
v.
our
Virginia?
training was almost doing them, because with a national effort like that, the motion picture companies kind of join in and say, yes, now we can utilize all those free extras out there, the Marine Corps or the Army and the Navy. So they make war films to get the war effort brought to the audience because there wasn't too much TV then, right? So that you were part of it in the training aspect. I mean, they'd say, well, they have a motion picture company coming in tomorrow, maybe a couple of phony actors in there, trying to get us to be, and then you'd be part of the scene. So
you were part of
your
duty was to be in war movies.
Almost in your training, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't make it far, though. I mean, I didn't get involved in any.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of guys that did.
But did the combat seem real to guys who actually knew what it was like in those movies with John Wayne and all?
Oh, well, combat's a very personal thing. I don't think two people will agree on anything in combat, so I think for the theatrical audience, they were doing the best they could at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wanted to see a newsreel, of, true death and destruction, so it's much better to do it theatrically, which is less painful.
Yeah. Do you ever have any? Last time you were here, you had just been in a. I can't remember if you had just been or were just about to be in The Dirty Dozen, and a lot of people thought that was a movie that glorified violence, so that it shouldn't have been shown. Does that criticism irritate you ever?
No, I don't really consider that part of the film much of the film. I thought the whole film was basically the 12 guys and their training and the examination of them. Once we got into the actual effort of making the jump into the palace or whatever it was, I mean that's just following out the footwork, I think, of why they were trained, why you could enjoy the front part of the film.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't think that the film was a bad influence on
what?
The people who who get their kicks from seeing. Well, I'm mixing up two questions here. Do you think a movie can be a bad influence because it has people cheering, say, the gassing of Germans or the murdering of...
I'm sure it can be both ways. It can be a good influence, a bad influence, or an indifferent influence.
Yeah.
But that's not my job, or it wasn't my job at that time to ascertain whether this would be a great influence on not pouring gasoline on German generals.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really concerned about that. I was concerned about working with Jimmy Brown or Johnny Cassavetes or the rest of that marvelous group of actors.
Did you ever get hurt making a film?
Not really. I mean, not enough to where it would be where I could collect any unemployment on it.
Have you been emotionally hurt in the making of the film?
I'm struck right.
Could I ask you where you were wounded during the war?
Yes, I was shot in the ass.
Could...
That's unusual.
I hate a guest who won't be specific. I
wish I could say something else, because I know that when I finally got home, I had written my mother saying that I'd been injured, so don't be disturbed by the telegram. And she wrote me back a letter and said that she had a dream. Roughly at the same time there, I was standing in the door of her bedroom, in the doorway, and I was in my dress blues and my head was bandaged. And I said, yes, she's my mother. How sweet of her, right?
Bandages were somewhat lower in reality.
Yeah, and I didn't have a set of blues. I mean, I was, right.
Gee. That's terrific.